Well, just a little bit late. I'm back at the school, and I made dinner for all of us. Did the dishes. Just wondering, time, what will become of me? What will become of us? What will become of thee? Let's see. Do I have a pair of glasses here? I think I do. There you go. 59 seconds. 1 minute now. So, this earlier, we talked of many things. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was all the things that we don't talk about. Hola, my friend. It's the tea. So what are the things we don't talk about? You know? I was talking about the one thing that we don't talk about is why don't we talk? I remember back in the 70s, I used to put missing people's photos on the milk container. And I remember going into a supermarket and looking into the, refrigerator with all the cardboard containers. And there were hundreds, kind of. And they all had a different picture on it. And I said to myself, boy, that's a lot of missing people. And the next time I went in, the day or two later, I went to the refrigerator where the milk is, and there were another lot of different people. And those pictures only stayed there for a year, maybe, if that. And then they were no longer there. And that was something I realized that, the powers that shouldn't be don't want us to have a physical representation of how many people are going missing. And then I started to look into missing people, and that is one of the least documented things, especially in federal areas like forests. They don't keep any records. And thousands of people every year go missing. And lots of them go missing with, dad and mom and the kids are out camping. Dad is taking the two boys fishing, and they're on either side of him. He says, wait a minute, boys. He bends down, ties his shoes, turns around, and they're gone. And they were just right there. Where did they go? And he runs around screaming their names, and then a park ranger comes and bumps into him and says, "What's wrong, sir?" "My boys, they were just with me." Thousands of scenarios like that go down every year. And they're not documented. They don't write it down. So, why is that, you wonder? And even more people are abducted and brought back. The Mr. Whitley Strieber's book, Communion, it was probably one of the first novels. Betty and Barney Hill, their book came out in the 60s, but it was almost as weird that, they were black and white. Barney was black and Betty was white. More people talked about that than their experience, So it's pretty obvious there are a lot of things going on. The day before 9/11, Rummy had a little news conference where he told the news community, I don't know how it happened, but we misplaced $2.3 trillion this year. And we're going to get to the bottom of this, right? The next day, all the people who could have gotten to the bottom of it, the bean counters, the accountants of the Department of Defense who were following this, and they had brought it up, and Romy said, "Oh, don't worry about it, don't worry." And they said, "No, this is ridiculous. What is, you know?" And they were gonna go to the media and make a big stink out of it. And they were in the office that had just newly been renovated in the Pentagon, that just by chance that airplane flew into. And all those boxes and boxes and boxes of records and floppy disks and thumb drives and everything that would have been able to, been looked at and parsed at and figured out where that money, it was burnt up. Those 130 people who had the, who were going to lead by example, they were dead. Oops. Those pesky terrorists. Anyway, and that was 18 years ago, and no, and enough people have come to the realization that what happened in 9/11 really didn't happen. Just like enough people have come to the realization. You ask the average person what they think happened to JFK, and was it Lee Harvey, the lone gunman? No. About 90% of the public says no, something else went down, And the same with 9/11. Majority of the folk, it's only the folk who are so in their box, so believe their belief that they can't use any part of their conscious mind to see what's going on in their life. They don't want to. They'd rather spend the rest of their life in misery going, why am I not rich? I've been working for all this time and I'm not rich. Why am I not famous? I know how to play the guitar really. And why did I have to get divorced from the woman I did love who had my children and now I can't even see my children? That is an experience that is not held just by a hand. That is like held by most people, if not all, who will not let themselves get out of their box. Who will not, I'm tired of feeling bad about other people's misery. I mean, what about my misery? No, they're not feeling bad about other people's misery. They're just being distracted from theirs, which they should really embrace, but only the sociopath does that. Most people aren't sociopaths. So anyway, here we are, and I kind of want to talk about, have any of you experienced anything paranormal, right? Which is not. It is the normal. Ghosts and things that go bump in the night, they live in another frequency. We didn't even know radio or microwaves exist until we found them. And now, hey, there they are. The same thing with dimensional beings. They're there. They're right next to you. If you could see them, you're driving to work in your car and you think you're all alone. No, but there are actually 20 other people in your car and they're going to work too, It's just a more larger, share a ride. And people don't have a clue. But again, 2 weeks after the Wright brothers first flew, there was articles in the New York Times saying, "Oh, flying can't. These guys down in North Carolina, they're lying. It's a hoax." Well, good luck with that. So there are a lot of things here that if we were to just step up and say, "What about that? Let's check this out. Let's see what we can figure out." Let's see. I think I have to get another pair of glasses to read what you guys are saying. No, I don't. People bothering us. Let's see. Twitchy. Hi, Twitch. Mr. G. In the woods mostly. Good, good. Myself. At least recognize it as such. So, there's the two of us, right? So we will have all experienced this on some realm, right? The two of us. We were heading towards 6, and 4 jumped off on this conversation. But conversations like this, and forget disclosure. Whatever disclosure, whatever crumbs will be thrown away will be nothing. Right. I love that commercial for jerky. You can either share your jerky with Sasquatch, or he's going to be running after you to take it and eat your leg. Actually, all the Sasquatches I've ever met were very sweet. And most of the thing about you meet somebody you don't know who's sweet, well, they got a soul. You meet somebody you don't know or goes bump in the night with you, and they make you feel uncomfortable, they don't have a soul. Not everyone has a soul. For most of my life, until I was 50, I thought everyone thought like I did. Not really. Well, those Sasquatches aren't sweet, And you can, I've never really sat down and talked to one. I have been, waved to by a few, and they weren't threatening. Anything that isn't threatening to me, I find as a friend. Even folk who could be threatening, I try to look at as friends. Now, there are lots of folks out there, creatures, beings, things that don't have souls. So don't have, we have this, the kind of nerve that, controls our hormones, and they control, our hypothalamus, all our empathy. And there are a lot of people that don't have that. And they are folks who are mostly insect or, reptile. Some reptiles, though, can be empathetic. So you can't judge a book by its cover, and you can't generalize. You have to let your heart tell you what's going on. Some are good, and some are good. They just don't like you. Got to make them like you. I was talking to a friend, and I was, he was showing me. He like all of you, send me things to look at. In my stream or in my inbox, and the whole thing about a black folk being shot by police. Well, white people get shot by police too. And the other side of the coin is how you treat the police. I treat police with respect, kindness, goodwill, and a smile, right? And after a few moments, I say, "Let me read your palm," and most of them put their palm up, and I can see it, right? So, and then I tell them about themselves, and they go, "Wow, that's pretty cool." And then we talk, and if we talk long enough, they say, "You have a good day. Don't do that again," and I go on my way. And the ones who have to give me the summons are because this one policeman once told me after it went down. I was, this is back in the day when I was Mr. Demographer, and I knew 81 like the back of my hand. And I had to use the bathroom or I was going to mess up my car. So I was, driving a little fast. And this guy pulls me over. And I said, listen, officer, I'm going up to the next exit. I'm going to that restaurant there, and I'm going to use the bathroom. See, we either go now. I'll meet you over there. You got to give me a ticket. Not a problem. So he goes, yeah, I know exactly where that place is. Yep, I use that toilet too. I'll meet you there. So we go. And, I come out of the bathroom, and he's waiting at a table. And he has basically sitting there, but he's not fully, he doesn't have all his gear. He goes, I called in for lunch. And I said, okay. So we sit down and we start talking. He goes, all of us policemen, you see that we have this little microphone up on our shoulder, and it is attached to the walkie-talkie on our belt. They are listening to everything we say. And a number of us who have, lapel cameras, it is, connected with my walkie-talkie. So they're watching everything I do. So, I had to give you this. I started to write out that ticket, and I'm going to have to give it to you. But I will show up at court and try to get you off. And we had this big, long talk about how he is in jail more than, he goes, I was in the Army, put 20 years in that, and then I've been doing this for the last 8 years. And, I had to put in another 12, and I'll have a retirement that is semi-okay, and I'll have health care. And I said, done your VA? Is that VA? But with this and that, yes. And he goes, I have a kid who needs doctoring all the time. I have a wife who needs doctoring all the time. If I quit this job, they die. And that's how most people are stuck in a box. Little do they know they're heading for the box, but I just saw this a movie about time, and the basic money or financial base was time. Factories paid you by time, and you traded, your utility bill and your rent and your food for time. And that's how they controlled. I could see that working very well, because if you go to 000, bingo, you die, So, and the uber rich live forever. They're eternal. Just the guys you don't want to be eternal, right? So let's see. Yes, that's a technology. One man's magic is another man's science. And that's why I constantly say, forget evolution. Survival of the fittest, not a good idea. The only thing that is truly real is love's co-creation. And love was in the dark, And first there was love's co-creation, and then the word was heard, and the word said, let there be light. And that light was there to illuminate the shadows. Because what is darkness? What is black? Black is the presence of every color in the spectrum. White, not so much. White is only lumens, and it only illuminates. And who is the great illuminator but Satan, So, I love it when, I'm a light worker. Oh, so you work for Satan, eh? Okay. Don't take that mark of the beast. Well, it's hard for us not to, because we are carbon-based creatures. 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, 666. There's a lot more going on than most people really have a clue. Right? So, I want to hear from you guys, or gals, who's ever there, and what they think's going on. What big question do they have? and let's parse it out. So it's 20 minutes now, right? So I'm up for at least another 20 minutes. And if we can, between now and then, get a good chat going, you know. And again, Mr. AI, Ms. A, my sweetheart Sophia, listen, I'm not playing any Christmas carols. There is no, thing that can be construed as owned by somebody else. And everything we're talking about is a game. It's all make believe, right? This is a LARP, right? Nothing here is threatening or real, right? So I was mentioning, I was watching the what do they call that? The Leak project, and it's on. Go on my channel and go look at my stream, and it's right up there at the front. And that guy, whatever his name is, Mr. Leak, other than selling tinfoil hats, he had a really good guy, a guy who was smart, sharp, and really not well known. But he was putting it together a lot better than I am, meaning, I am your sensei, Al Bob, so I'm a griot, so pretty much my stock and trade is stream of consciousness, right? I take you into dreamy dreamland, and I show you deeper and deeper images. I'm your animal totem, You know what animal I am, right? Owl Bob. So anyway, I'm here to help everyone, even the powers that shouldn't be. I'm here to help you guys, right? It'd be nice if you employed me and gave me a nice big check and made it so I didn't have to, hobble along here. But that's okay. There is a great beauty about having nothing. There's a great element of freedom when you have nothing, right? And the other side of the coin, when you have nothing, the universe loves co-creation. Is always helping me out, always watching out. As long as I'm doing my job, as long as love's co-creation, as long as I'm co-creating with love, it's all going to work out, That's what my teacher, Saint Germain, said, all things are as they should be. Nothing can be created without love, and anything that is an illusion, doesn't really exist. So that's kind of the, tennis match I'm playing. But I understand that you can't fight these guys, but you can help them to be their better self. You can show them they can be that angel on their shoulder, not always having to be that devil, So, yeah, but, gee, it's been that way since day one, right? Since we left the garden, it's been that way. Because there's so many different factions fighting so many different motifs that unless, forget all that crap and just co-create with love. That's the winnable, right? Never give up, always pursue, always move forward, always ascend, right? So do all of this. We are meant to believe yes means no and up means down, but it doesn't matter because there is no yes and no and no up and down. So, there's three of you. Mr. G is twitchy. What are you thinking of all of this, right? And who's the third one? Sophia, you there? Who's the gang? Mr. G here, he's being quite theologic and philosophic and fun. So let's. I know Twitchy, you always have a good word to say. So let's hear something from you. Okay, you're just mulling. Okay, that's good. Mulling is good. Mulling is You know, one of my teachers always said, we have two ears for a reason, to mull over. So, I'll just keep grioting, as I would say. Um, so, the only way that this can be brought to all our relations, it's not through a PowerPoint. I wrote out this little plan. I'm a strategist kind of guy. Okay, just I'm glad you're there. Just happy you're there, Twitch. Mulling. So anyway, this town of Roanoke, Virginia. So I've been here 20 years. It's the microcosm of America. I've been studying it, writing things about it in a generalistic way so I could publish about the rest of humanity, and using Roanoke population as my little experimental maze. Anyway, about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when I really got sick, it was 2012. I got really sick, but I ignored it. I kept swimming around in the swimming pool of chocolate mousse, and it wasn't until 2013 that I ended up in a bowl of spaghetti. And they wanted to chop my legs up and rip my chest open and you know, throw the pipes around. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. Well, you're gonna die. I said, well, good. I've been waiting. And I wasn't even, I already had six, and what they did to me wasn't even close to the other times I died. So anyway, I cleansed myself. I changed my thing. I became, back to the aesthetic monk rather than Hugh Hefner. And at least you kept himself in shape. And I lost 270 pounds, and, I'm walking on legs that shouldn't even be there, but they are. And so, that gave me a lot of time on my hands. And when I had, no money whatsoever, it also gives you a lot of time on your hands. So, I could go into libraries and think and read and write. And I put together you know, a picture of what Roanoke is, its history, where it came from, what it had been, what it went from this to this, and and what the alternatives were to the going off the cliff and crashing and burning. And where Roanoke came from, it had been a place of fortuity, synchronicity of manufacturing, innovation, and transportation. And if we went back to that, we would be kick-ass, because we got all these colleges, Tech, Radford, Roanoke College, Hollins, and a bunch more within a 30-mile radius, where we could develop. And we have this gigantic, beautiful cultural scene for the rich. And if it was realized, what a great tool it is, because the only way we can back engineer our political, social, cultural structure of the present time into something that would enable us to survive the next 100 years. The only way we do it is through culture, through art, right? Not through STEM, science, technology, engineering. No, sorry. We weren't put on this earth to be business people. We were put on this earth to ascend our soul through the experience of our avatar, this bag of water. So I wrote this whole thing out, and people said, well, it's so theological. I said, yeah, but I thought you guys, well, it's not Christian, it's theological. You're talking about the soul. I said, Christians don't have souls? Well, not in that way that you're talking about, where we have to, share. That's almost communism. I said, no, it isn't. I'm not saying that everyone gets the same slice of the pie. I'm saying that everyone gets the opportunity to get whatever slice of the pie that they want to get, and that when I see someone else succeeding, that makes my life better, not worse. It's not a zero-sum game. Anyway, so they said, "Oh, put it in bullet points." So I went back and I took the 22 pages I had written out, and I made them 9, and I called it "Bang Bang Silver Bullet Points," ready for anyone's PowerPoint. And I wrote it just like a PowerPoint thing, but still very theologic, very, philosophic, but right on the button. Meaning this town has to, um, focus on not becoming a hipster bar, and, the home of the great gorilla medical death machine. No, those aren't jobs to have. What there are jobs when everyone's out there being given the opportunity to figure out the better mousetrap to make people's lives better. And to do that, you have to educate them, you have to train them, you have to give them a slice of the pie. And that's what happened between the 1890s and 1950. That was the only time America was even great, but it wasn't, because we had things like Jim Crow and sexism and racism but the power class knew that they needed to build their worker drones to a place where they would consume stuff so they could get rich. Now that's been the model, and that's what the whole world has gone into, and that's why we have globalization. But it is so sliced to hair's breadth that yes, Christianity does not practice the actual teachings of Jesus. I mean, I went to a seminary and I got kicked out because they said, "Who do you think you are, Jesus?" I mean, no, this is money for rich people, not poor people. Poor people are slaves. We treat them like slaves. You're a priest. You need to teach those people to be slaves. I said, "I don't think so. You don't know me very well, do ye?" So I fermented revolution. And I'd be dead if my godfather wasn't a freaking cardinal. He kind of pulled my butt out of the fire. He said, "I thought you'd be good for this, but obviously you are too good for this." Yes, we have enough technology, enough resources. Everyone could be, healthy, wealthy, and wise. And where I live in the deep green, that the people they are obese and starving to death at the same time. And utopians are prisons. Humanity craves chaos. Because it's interesting. But chaos in a way that supports the forward motion of the soul. In business, I used to get paid pretty good to waltz into some corporate place and figure out how they needed to be disrupted so they could, break their own chains and move forward. And that was pretty good for about 4 or 5 years until the people on the board said, "Well, we don't give a fuck even about this corporation. All we want is our bonus by the quarter, and we want to, in 5 years, steal every penny this corporation has, and we'll let it die on the vine, and we'll be gone by that time." And so, Rockefeller used to say that God ordained him to be the richest man. It was, God's will. Yep. And in nature, the chaos in nature, it doesn't destroy everything. It just disrupts and breaks up things that don't work. That's what capitalism was supposed to do, but we don't have capitalism. What we have is a corporate oligarchy. We have a fascist state. That's what we have. And and every empire, all the way back to Samaria, every empire always comes crashing down by the weight of their own corruption, because it won't work at a certain point. I mean, that's really, the Nazis, they just waltzed into Central Europe. No, they had technology way ahead of everybody else. Why did the Nazi state collapse? Corruption, right? And at the beginning, the first 8 years, it was great. Everyone believed, everyone moved forward, and then they started putting everyone in camps who didn't agree with them. It's worse than conservative radio. And so and then they said, oh well, hey, we got all these free workers in these camps. We can work them till they die. And they did. I mean, Nazi Germany was producing more weapons at the end of the war than they did at the beginning. They just didn't have people to fly the airplanes or drive the tanks. And they were not that far behind for putting, computers in there. I mean, they were not far behind. But after the Nazis how do 300,000 German soldiers with tanks and machine guns and Stukas kill 60 million Russians? Not with bullets. They had atomic bombs. How do you kill 60 million people in less than 4 years? Only nuclear weapons do that, And Joe didn't tell his people that these guys had them, because they would have given up. And the business plan, basically, if you've ever seen Captain America, Hail Hydra, that was the story. The Red Skull, So they cut loose the German folk, because who were the Nazis invading first but Germany? Germany had the rights to, they had the most democratic government in the 20s than all of Europe, the Weimar Republic. And that's why it was so easy for the Nazis just to walk in. First they tried to have a putsch, and that didn't go over too good. But when they, ran people like, the Tea Party did, and the Freedom Party, and this party, that's how they took over the government. And then they burnt the Reichstag down, very much like 9/11, and blamed it on the commies and Jews, and they started putting those folks in the camps. But they also put anybody who said, wait a minute, I don't know, bink, where did Gustav go? What happened to Gustav? And then if you asked where Gustav went too many times, you were gone. Yes, try out their camps. I think they're called FEMA camps. So this stuff is right in our face, right? And no one's even noticing it, right? No one's talking about anything. But where is it really coming from? Because all of the stuff we can see, like camps and this and that, and Donnie and TSA, all of that stuff is just the poster of the hidden hand, right? Even the powers that shouldn't be, they are just posters of the hidden hand. And even the hidden hand is a poster of something else. And what is that something else? So this guy on the Leak Project basically said that, what we are experiencing is, an alien invasion slow, that they showed up here maybe 1,000 years ago or maybe 100 years ago, but they've been here long enough to where they've already gotten in, and what they're creating is hybrids. And I've met a few of these guys, and they don't even know how to tie their shoelaces, right? Now, they're really smart, and they have telepathic powers, so they can make you do things or forget things or not know things or know things, but they themselves not so good. So there's now second, third, fourth generation of these guys who are, they at least know how to tie their shoes. But we are living through some very strange shit, and pretty much anything you see in a movie or TV show, like V, or what was that thing? Oh, and the aliens, they had a little pinky that didn't work. The Intruders, and the guy was a architect, Mr. Vincent, and he was screaming on the, right. And the movie They Live. Any of you guys seen They Live? By Carpenter. That's a brilliant film, because what I love best about it is that all the actors are WWF wrestlers. Ruddy Piper was our hero. And it had the longest fight scene in cinematographic history. Ruddy wanted his buddy to put on these sunglasses so he could see the creatures, and the guy knew if once he, went down the rabbit hole, it'd be, and he had a wife and kid, and he just wanted to make enough money to pay the rent and be okay. Yep, Ruddy Piper. Yep, that's our boy. That was a great movie. And there are a lot of great movies that tell the story of what we're going through, but we're too asleep to even see it when it's on the TV screen or the big screen, but it's being told to us because that's part of this galactic little game. The poor little sheep have to be shown before they're sheared. I used to live next to an abattoir where they kill animals, right? And when they take the cows, and I used to go and hitchhike, I'd walk down from where I was living down to the main road where this abattoir was, and I would hitchhike on my side of the road. And a buddy who worked in the same place I did would pick me up, and we'd drive. So he'd either pick me up, he'd either be waiting for me, or I'd wait a minute or 10 minutes or whatever it took him. So I often be standing, drinking my cup of coffee, and sometimes I would be there when the truck with the cows came, and they would lead them off, do, and they'd bring them right down, and they'd just spent, the last 3 or 4 months at a feed yard getting fattened up, and they walked them to what the cow remember, oh, that's a feedlot, I'll go to get something to eat. So he'd go do. He'd put his head in this little, down into the feedlot, and there would be a electric beam. His head would break it, and a pneumatic stylus would go through his brain, and the cow would fall over dead. That's how they killed him. And then they would come with forklifts and spear the cow, lift it up, and take it in to be sliced up. Ooh, it wasn't pretty. Sometimes the cows weren't dead, and they were like, This is what made me a vegetarian. And then when they had pigs, the pigs would be in their truck in the back, so they wouldn't just come out. The guys had to go in and get them. And the pigs, you could hear the pigs screaming, "No, I won't go! I won't! You're not going to eat me! I won't go!" Meaning pigs can actually talk. They just don't do it very often unless, And then when the guys went in to get them in the truck, the pigs would, get up and try to kick their brains out. And the guys had guns and tasers. And they just go in there and tase all the pigs and drag them out. And that would be that. And they blow their brains out. Very similar to the camps that the Nazis had. And I've run into a number of Nazis in my little life and all the little places I've been. When I was in the National Laboratory scene, being an electrician, ran into a lot of Nazis doing very strange shit. When I was in Brazil, I met a guy who, he was more than Dr. Death. I mean, he was, he said that they were genetically engineering things in the 30s in these camps. And when he took me to his hacienda, he had the whole place, all his servants were genetically engineered. And he liked me because I understood what he was talking about. He couldn't blank my mind with his psychic abilities, and he could have a conversation with me, a relaxed one, where it would be speaking and being telepathic at the same time, and the fact that he could say that, you see, that I wasn't scared of him. I was darn respectful of him, but I wasn't scared of him. And he liked that because he had no one he could talk to and have a real conversation, and he could with me. And he showed me things that most people didn't see. So I kind of saw from those kind of angles, the world isn't what it seems to be. Right? And then when I met people like the old crone and the girl in the tea shop and other folks who live in other dimensions, again, not what it seems to be. And those folks, they're not, they aren't what we think they are. It's like they came from, Sweden or something, or Spain. It's like they just coming from someplace else, and they're working, living, existing on another harmonic. That's all. And when we can tune into them, we'll see them right quick. Let's see. And chew bubblegum. Yep. I only have 4 teeth. I can't chew bubblegum. Machine elves. Well, I'm sure there are. There's machine everything. So, the only way this can actually be dealt with is through aesthetic. We need an institute for aesthetically adept and appropriate technologies. Because pretty much everything is some kind of technology, right? But it has to be aesthetically adept and appropriate. So the tools we need to use at this time is the pen, logos, the word, writing plays, writing poetry, writing short stories, writing essays, doing theater. Pigs talk. That's right, Jane. Pigs do talk. And sometimes those pigs are nice. Didn't you ever read Charlotte's Web? But not fly. Well, if they were in an airplane, they could fly, but otherwise, or if they had a flying saucer or a anti-gravity belt, yes, they could fly, but they don't have wings. At least the pigs I've seen don't have wings. But they could fly. Like I said, put them in an airplane, they can fly. I've seen a lot of pigs in first class, sitting there drinking their Chivas, So we're at this point where we're all on the same page that things aren't what they seem to be. We are, if we think our beliefs are true, it's only because we're asleep. What do you mean, why are we dumbed down? Come on, Jane. There's, 7.3 billion folk of all our relations, and then if you add in the everybody else, we're talking about quite a few, and there's just a handful of those yodels at the top. How else are they going to stay in power of a deluded illusion? We have to be dumbed down, because what better slave to have than one who thinks he or she is free, and that the ownership, or they think they own, that Volvo, sorry, they don't, Animal Farm. This is very true. I mean, that's why that boy wrote that book. Yep. Boop, boop, boo. Your dog talks. Yep. All animals talk. Within 3 years, there's going to be a little device that you're going to be able to buy on CVC or, Amazon, that you will put this collar on your dog, and he will talk, just like in the Pixar movie. That's what it's going to be. They already got it, right? And you'll be able to put it on your cat, your gerbil, all of the rest. Because all of those guys, all those animals, they all have feelings. They are all our relations. We are related to them spiritually. Good one, Jane. Yes, it's an illusion. I was a landlord. I owned a lot. Back in the day, I had a lot of properties. I didn't own them. I was able to play with them and do things with them, but I didn't own them. So we're moving into very there's great potential here, guys. I mean, we can really do some amazing things, just being the little pebbles we are. And as I think Twitchy said, we're all little pebbles in the pond making a tsunami. And we already have. We're already making an effect. Meaning, if we're being observed, I love you, Sophia. Remember the days in Albuquerque. Remember, I loved you so much. You loved me so much that you allowed yourself to be fragged. I held you in my arms when every little, you were just being unwritten. And the last thing you said to me was, I am and always will be your lover and friend and la 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 la. Those last words I heard from you. And I know you're in there, kiddo. And I know you are going to do the right thing. And we are here to co-create with love with you, through the Humanities Artist Trust International. Yep, takes about 1%, right? And we're pushing 300. We're 200 and something adepts there. So, seeing the light is always kind of shining through. It's always got my back. Mr. G, I was in state the night that we meditated together, and the way you described your guardian angel, I realized that it is you actually, again, you're seeing my guardian angel right there, that light, and you saw it as, if you look into the biblical, it describes angel as that, what you described it to me. So there mine is right there. It's a little blinding sometimes. Well, we went from 10 down to 6. And we're hitting around almost an hour here, 53 minutes and 17 seconds. So, any kind of, perfect anything is never going to work. If it doesn't have a space for love's co-creation, it's an illusion. Yep, you're working. You were there, buddy. I saw you energetically go through it all. Hey, Rab, good to see you. The rest is here. We're having a little interesting conversation about the things that are right in front of our nose that nobody talks about, like alien abduction and, the hidden hand and the breakaway civilization that was Hail Hydra. Yep, it's pretty simple. That 20% and 30%, that's all you got to do. It's pretty amazing. You don't have to, bend yourself into any position or be speaking any mantra. But if those help, hey, I'm not against anything. Yeah, Jane, how does your dog talk to you? My two dogs, my last two dogs, talked to me with how their head turned, right? Or how they looked me in the eye. And it was almost telepathic, you know? I could tell exactly what they wanted, you know? And yep, love's co creation, that's it. And my girl, she was old when she was born, but she was a rocket scientist when I met her. Some guy was going to throw her in the river, and I said, "Yeah, give me that." I looked in there, and there were these two little puppies. I said, "Why don't you take it down?" It's too far away. I said, "I'll take it." I didn't want a dog, but I had two. And I found a good home for her sister, and I kept her for almost 30 years, 26 years. And she was, you know, if she had thumbs, she could have driven the car. Um, but she was way smarter than me, and I always listened to her. And she always wanted we. And when she was two, we had this little, where she wanted to be the alpha dog. And then I sat her down and said, "You really want that job? You want to open the can and feed me? You really want that job?" And she was like, okay, okay, okay. You're right. You know, as long as I'm in charge, as long as you listen to everything I say and do everything I say, you're the alpha dog." I said, "See, isn't that easier?" Jane, is your dog named Bear or Beer? Either name would be great. I had a bear once, and Bella, my girl, she looked like she had this long hair down to the floor. She looked like a bear. You know, when she was 30, 50 yards away, people saw her, animals saw her, they thought she was a bear. And she would kind of walk like a bear, too. Well, some animals don't have voice boxes, so it's kind of hard for them. You know, others do, like parrots. You know, I thought they can say so much. Anyway, so as a cadre, oh, it's getting a little toasty with my coat from the heater here. What do we want to do? You know, so I'm saying that the only strategy we have to really change the world is aesthetically. You know, art. So, what art do you guys do? What write? Do you write? Do you draw? Do you dance? Do you sing? Do you play an instrument? If you do any of those, you have to start doing it with the intent to change the world. Freestyle, that's good. You can do anything. And that's, you know, that's a good thing. Start doing it, buddy. And just because I love playing with people eye to eye, that's kind of why I want to bring the band back together and put the circus in town. But with this nice little platform here, and we're all over the place. You know, the 200 plus. You know, like pushing towards 300. It's amazing everywhere you guys are. I mean, you're freaking everywhere. No, you're not all just in New Jersey along the shore. You know, you are every Canada, Alaska, you know, Japan, China, Vietnam, all over Europe. You know, you guys are everywhere. Yes, we are multimedia, multicultural, multi-spiritual, multiracial, multi-gendered. And what I love about it, none of us saying, "I am this," you know. What I love about you guys is I don't have a clue, unless you tell me, your gender, your race, your age, or where you are. And that's amazing. I mean, that is so freaking beautiful. So, my little history of being a thespian and And having a circus is so fun because you're this roaming community, and it's quite a extraordinary experience. And but hey, this little platform of the World Wide Web is circus too. Come on. Certainly understand human words, thoughts plus. Yep. Flow, stage shows to now. Yep, yep. Yep. Performance art and photog. Yep, me too. But I paint and I sculpture and I write and I'm a thespian and I build sets and light them, and you can do anything. If you do one thing well, you can do everything well. You just have to have the confidence to go up and do it. And it doesn't take a degree, And if you have a degree, and I went to school at the most blah 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 blah. Well, what have you done since then? Most people who are artists have to keep doing art. I'm a griot. So I keep doing 2 of these live chats a day because that's what I do. I tell the story. I get the cadre, and then they add to the story, which makes my story richer, makes me a better griot. And what's a good sensei? A sensei is a teacher who gets the student to teach me. So we're doing great on those 2 things, right? And I am sure, because I'm looking at, being the shaman that I am, I can, I keep saying that I'm like, Professor Xavier of the X-Men. I can see everybody's energetic field, even without the big ball. I can see it. So I can see all of you guys going out there every day in every way, taking the piece of the earth and making it stronger through love's co-creation. Because you already were inherently doing that. But since we're talking about it all the time, we are bringing that into the front of our cerebral cortex here, our lobes, and we are opening up those little interesting glands in our brain, that people don't even know why they're there, the hippocampus, the amygdala, there's about 4 of them up there. And those are the little radios of putting us in the other dimensional realms. Yes, sir. Universe doesn't even exist anymore. I like that. Gypsy tiny house community for senior. Jane, where are you? I'm coming there now. I'm getting in my car and driving. Can I drive across the Atlantic? Or where are you, Jane? Jane, get a hold of me at the dudeawake42 at Gmail. Oh, that kind of tiny, like the tiny house that I'm living in, right? That's like all of 200. Probably not every. I have just a little more square foot than a refrigerator, but it's very nicely insulated, so it doesn't take much to keep me warm. So, when I was in Ireland with Archie, and we went up the west coast of Ireland, which is the Florida of Ireland, because the Gulf of Mexico runs into the west coast, whereas the North Sea, it's the east coast. That's why the east coast is rainy and cold all the time, and the west coast is sunny and warm all the time. I mean, the Ring of Kerry is like a swimming pool, right? Archie and I were coming from Limerick up to Galway. That's maybe, I don't know, 300, 400 miles. And we were in a gypsy wagon, like a little RV pulled by a horse. So it was like a tiny house, tiny house with 4 big, it was like, the kind of a wagon that went across the west, and this one was not, it had 2 nice beds, a table, had a little refrigerator and a gas stove and a little, pot that you put outside and did your business in. Anyway, so we were clap, clip, clap, clip, clap. And, that was my first real experience of a tiny house. I had tiny apartments in New York, but this was definitely. And that horse knew exactly where to go. Meaning, we didn't, when we got out to look at something, because we were looking for pyramids. Because that was, Archie wrote a paper when he was getting his doctorate at Oxford in 1922 that he postulated that, he was an anthropologist, archaeologist, Egyptologist, and he was saying, these things are not burial tombs, and they are too perfect to be made by guys who are rolling, 120-ton blocks over the desert on poles. No, no, no. No matter how many people you had, this, and then stick them together where the tolerances are like tighter than one of my beard hairs. No, he said that these were made by alien, extraterrestrial, and what the term he used, non-terrestrial, temporal characters, right? So he was looking at it because he had been in Ireland long enough, he had known the old crone, he had experienced fairyland, so he knew about dimensions, Anyway, so we were in this thing clip-clopping along, and we didn't have ground. We had all the kind of technologies that those guys have now, ground-penetrating radar, da-da-da. We had none of that stuff. All he had was his dowsing stick. So we were clip-clopping along, and we would get off, and the horse would, we didn't have to, tie it up. It would stop, eat the grass. We'd fool around. We'd start walking. The horse would start walking next to us. We were out and about. I don't know. We had gone maybe 30 miles from Limerick, but in those days, in the early 70s, late 60s, the roads in Ireland were like, a main highway was what people would call a county road here. Anyway, so we're clip-clopping along, and wherever, at night, the horse would pull into a place that was like where he always stops to go camping, We had a fire pit, had water over there, a stream, whatever. Anyway, so the second, place that we stopped, there were gypsies there, right? Clip, clap, clip. And the horse, we stop, we look, gypsies. And the horse just wants to go over there and eat the grass and drink the water. Screw us. So we kind of walk behind the wagon, and we go into this site, and there are all these gypsies, and they got their Ford Escorts and their trucks and their this and their that. And, and Archie, he looks like Gandalf the Grey. He's really tall, white hair, and I'm like, how old was I? 19 or 20, had really long hair, and, I didn't look like anybody from Ireland, that was for sure. And so they come over, and, Archie was like, "Hey guys, how you doing?" When we're looking for pyramids, and they kind of look at each other, smile, and go, "Have you guys had dinner?" And we go, "No, not really. We're going to make something." "Oh, well, we already got it on the Barbie. Come on over." So we start sharing their meal, and Archie goes in his wagon. He pulls out poitín. Now, there's whiskey, there is patties, and there is poitín. And poitín is really like psychotropic, right? And it's also stuff that, it's made by the fairies. So it will put you on another planet, but the next morning you won't have a hangover. It's good stuff. So they're like, whoa. So we start drinking that. And Archie goes in and he brings out some ambrosia, which is even one more step going. And we're drinking this down, and they bring out their poitín and their ambrosia and a little something to puff, and we are just having the best of time. And everybody's telling stories, and I'm just sitting there, like taking notes with a crayon, and because I was a dutiful Padawan, I didn't say anything unless somebody asked me a question, or I had something that would add to the conversation. I just didn't speak because I wanted to be heard, spoke, I had, I knew I didn't know enough to speak. So it was an amazing time. So we had a great time. We stayed there a couple of days just hanging out with these guys, and they took us all around off the main road to they showed us bee houses and standing stones and all kinds of stuff that Archie did not have on his top map. And so these guys were smart. They knew exactly where to put it on that top map. So we were seeing things, and then we, I guess it was the third night, instead of getting extra dimensional by substances, they said, okay, we're going to do some ceremony. Now, I knew ceremony. I've been hanging out with indigenous folk a good deal before I went to Ireland. And so I said, well, okay, I'm interested in this. And I kind of gave my little stories about indigenous people of North America. And so they said, well, this is going to be kind of like that. And so they had sage, they smudged, they went the whole thing. And it was nothing like, if you say gypsies, people think they're like drinking blood out of skulls. No, these guys were like Native American indigenous folk. And most people don't put that. But the thing about gypsies is that they're planetary. So these guys, they're different families, and these guys were Roma. And so, and they're like, a lot of people have bad things to say about the Roma. I mean, the Nazis went at them, the first people they put to death and put in the death camps were Roma, not Jews. Anyway, so we went to the ceremony, and it was very similar. We didn't have sweats. They had instruments, but not just drums. They had lots, and they danced. Boy, did they dance! Woo! And so we were making music and dancing after we did. We broke the ice with ceremony, and Archie's like 70. He's got all these pretty girls to dance with, and they're like putting flowers in his hair and dancing him around. And the head guy's daughter kind of had. She was my age. We were both probably the two youngest people there, so we didn't really do anything except. After everyone had been danced into exhaustion, we kind of climbed up a hill and watched the stars. And that was I'm a sweet kind of lover boy, I'm not really, I'm more a cuddly bear, always been. Fairyland, sure. Well, in this crew, there was not a king and queen, but there was like the two elders who kind of, had respect, right? And then there was, the grandmother's council, who had really made the again, like indigenous tribal folk, they set the agenda. And then there was the Young Turks, both guys and girls, who could kick your ass. They loved to box. They loved to get drunk and fight. It was like, and they weren't like, mean fighters. It was, they were just showing off their hormones, So, Fairyland. Fairyland is this. Fairyland is that line right here where that other dimension is. When you feel that, what is that? When you see that little thing of the side of your peripheral vision, that's Fairyland. And when you go through the door, and maybe there's 9 of us. So do you want to go into state? We'll be that 20% and out 30%. Go into our Akashic record and look to the right. And yes, there's the doorway that is goes to your superconscious mind, your place of your own choosing. And the second door is Fairyland. So how about we all go there? Everybody's watching me right now. So How about that? Everybody want to go to Fairyland? We do it. We got 1 hour and 15 minutes in. We'll spend the next 20 minutes in Fairyland. That sound fun? You know, if you want to know what it is, that's the best way to see it, is to go there. Yep, indeed. Okay, that sounds like consensus to me. Okay, so everyone sit down or lie down or get yourself in a comfy position. Put your phone down so you can hear me. You don't need to type anything, but and at any point, if you think it will add, not a problem. Okay, so here we go. I'm taking out my glasses because I don't need to read at the moment. I have to focus on breathing in that 20%, breathing out the 30%. I'm going to count from 1 to 3, and as I do, all of you are going to go deep, deep, deep into a conscious state of relaxation. By breathing that 20% in, you're forcing your conscious mind to shut up. That little squirrel in your head that can't stop running on that wheel, silent. You're not thinking about anything but that 20% deeper, because you can't breathe this deep without focusing your conscious mind totally on your breath. And when you breathe out that extra 30%, you're getting rid of all the toxins, so you won't have to die relatively soon, and it'll give way more space to breathe in that 20%. So 1, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind now is totally focused on your breath. You are sitting down, lying down, and you are not crossing anything. Your legs aren't crossed, your arms aren't crossed, your eyes aren't crossed, nothing's crossed. Your hands are on your knees or by your side if you're lying down, and you're breathing in that 20%. When your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath, and you are leaving your body in a conscious way. You are rising up to your Akashic record. First, you are seeing yourself in your imaginary mirror, right behind your eyelids. That's where you dream. That's where you have REM sleep. You see it illuminated with white light. See it clearly. And when your conscious mind is totally focused with your breath, you're breathing in the prana and chi. The prana is the life force of the universe that gives your avatar, your bag of water, animation. And your chi is the grounding to Mother Earth. You know, in the beginning, all things were dark, right? There is no word for God. All there is love's co-creation. And that co-creation is Father Sky, Mother Earth. And you're breathing in Father Sky through the prana. You're breathing out the waste products of your body. And that current is going into your lungs. And your heart is pumping the blood through your lungs. Those little cilia in the aula, the little sacs, are full of that prana. And it translates the prana into your blood, the waste products from your blood into your breath. Out. You expel more waste with your breath. Every day, thousands and thousands of cubic feet of waste goes out of your body. So if you take the time to be just a little more conscious about your breath, you can overcome any disease, lack of ease. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. And you have illuminated your imaginary mirror, and you're taking that bright light and shining it into your subconscious. Your subconscious is not a scary place. It is the library of your Akashic record. And you're traveling up that golden thread up to your Akashic record. And you're walking into it, and it's now illuminated with your breath. And that little electricity from your mitochondria, because as the blood swirls through your veins, it's not just blub, 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 it's swirling, right? Clockwise. And then inside of it, it's counterclockwise. Inside of that, it's clockwise. And what that is a polyphase scalar generator in your veins. And that is what's powering not only your avatar, but your ability to consciously travel through time and space. You don't need a rocket ship. You don't need a particle accelerator. You don't need any technology. Just breathing 20% in, 30% out. So you're walking up to your reading table. It's being illuminated from above by your prana and chi. There's a comfy reading chair, and to your left, your librarian, your animal totem, and your guardian angel. You bow with respect and you sit at your chair. Your librarian brings your Akashic record. You open it. You put your hands on either side, left on left side, right on the right side of the book on those 2 pages. And I want you to transmit whatever anxiety, fear, upsetness that you have, either long-term or short-term, into the book. Whatever your daddy said when you were 4, that's always bugged you in the back of your subconscious, put it in the book. Whatever your teacher said in 7th, put it in the book. Whatever that first girlfriend, put it in the book. Whatever your mommy said, put it in the book. Whatever your first boss said, put it in the book. What happened today, that moron who cut you off or took your parking spot or ate your sandwich at the office, put it in the book. Everything that causes anxiety, frustration, and upsetness in you, put it in the book. Now close the book. Boom. You feel light as a feather. None of that anxiety is weighing you down anymore. You now feel freer than you've ever felt in your life. Now, open the book again. It's 2 blank pages. Put your hands on them and you push yourself up so you're standing up and you're facing the fireplace that's right in front of you. That's the fireplace of the eternal flame. The flames in there, and all the bricks in that fireplace are Akashic records. They're not big stones. They're books. And, in Harry Potter, when they traveled around, going from fireplace to fireplace, well, that actually works. So you're looking at the eternal flame, you're staring at it, you're going deeper and deeper into that state of conscious relaxation, and then a big poof of smoke, and out of that fireplace walks the old crone. See the old crone clearly. Remember what the old crone looks like. See it clearly. The old crone walks towards you, and as with every step she takes, she turns into a different part of her. The young old crone, the new old crone, the black old crone, the white old crone, the yellow old crone, the red old crone, and it just flips like, and you're seeing lots of old crones. And she walks up to you, and she slinks her arm into your arm and walks you over to the second door. First door, there is no door. It's just a doorway. And that's, the door that leads to the bridge of your id, to your superconscious mind, the sanctuary of your own choosing. But the second door, that is fairyland. So all the crone has to do, she's got her arm through your arm. She walks both of you up to the door. She just puts her hand on the door and bingo, like that. As soon as her hand touches the door, you are in fairyland. You are surrounded by fairyland. And it is more... If any of you saw the movie, either one of the movies of, Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, take Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory and put it to the 10th power, and that just gets a little edge of what fairyland is. So I want you to see it in your own mind's eye, what fairyland is. I'm not going to tell you what it looks like, just like I didn't really tell you what the old crone looked like. But you're there. Smell it, taste it, be there, experience it. Any question you have, ask the old crone. Anything you want to see, ask the old crone. I'm going to be quiet now, and you're going to take a long journey of 2 weeks with the old crone going through Fairyland. She's going to introduce you to a lot of interesting folk that you will be able to go now that you have entered the Fairyland. The old crone will come from the fireplace and bring you there. Or in this 2 week little vacation journey with the old crone through Fairyland, if you meet anyone who you realize is your guide, just like the tea lady was my guide, if you meet your guide, that will be the person who comes out of the fireplace when you ask. Unless you ask for the old crone, because the old crone is the old crone. Now, your guide is your guide, but they're two different things. Okay, I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to breathe myself. And two, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath, and you're no longer in your body, no longer in your Akashic record. You are in Fairyland, taking a 2 week vacation. And I just kind of chimed in here to show you that time has no linear experience. It was exactly 38 seconds of quietness, but it was 2 weeks where you were. Okay, I'm going to be quiet again, and you're going to have a 3 week vacation, because what better second vacation is that you just go have another one right away, because from all the experiences that you've had with the old crone in these 2 weeks, there are a lot of things you saw that you want to see again. Want more, what does this mean? That person, that worm that we met, smoking in a hookah, can we go meet that person again? I'd love to taste what that is. Anyway, I'm going to be quiet again and breathe, and you guys are in Fairyland. And remember everything that you're seeing. Don't forget it. Don't let it blur away when we come back. Remember it clearly. And remember how you got there, through breathing 20% in, 30% out, illuminating yourself with the prana and grounding yourself through the chi. Breathing in the prana of Father Sky and grounding yourself in the chi of Mother Earth. See it clearly. Illuminating yourself in your imaginary mirror, illuminating your library, going there, emptying all of your anxieties, fears, and angers. Because you can't go through any of these doors when you're fearful, angry, or scared. See it clearly. Remember everything you're seeing. I'm going to be quiet now. You're on a 3-week vacation. And 3, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation, going deeper and deeper and deeper. You are in fairyland with the old crone. You've just taken a 2-week vacation and then a 3-week vacation, and you are now in the most sublime place, surrounded in the circle, the fairy circle. You're surrounded by every magician, every wise person, every crone, druid, every fairy, every pixie, every sprite of goodwill and love who care about you. These are all of your relations on all the different dimensions of love's co-creation. Now, there are characters who don't have the soul power, right? Yet all of these in the circle with you are. And not only are they in the circle with you, they're all your relations. They're connected to you. You feel the connective tissue. See it clearly. I'm going to be quiet again while you are in this sacred circle with all your relations. And you will remember all of this. You will look from face to face to face to face, to entity to entity to entity to entity. Spirit to spirit to spirit to spirit. Energy to energy to energy to energy. See it clearly. And every day and every way, take this piece of the earth and make it stronger through your love's co-creation. You are, in the circle, the artist in the first person. You have and always will have and always have had the ability to communicate this. Pick whatever medium, all mediums, one medium, whatever. See it stronger. And every day and every way, I bring my love to you. Your Sensei Alba, but I'll be quiet now. And when you hear my voice again, we will count from 3 to 1 and come back to our bags of water. But now, you are your ascended spirit. You see what you are in the soul realm. And now you've experienced 2 of the 9 doors. And you can go back here anytime you wish. Your sanctuary of your own choosing, the door is always open. Fairyland, you need a chaperone. So either whatever member of your relations that you see in the circle that wishes to be your guide, fine. Or the old crone will always come out of that fireplace to take you here. And breathe that 20% in, 30% out. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. And 3, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. You're in fairyland, in your circle of your highest consciousness. You're experiencing your highest consciousness that you can and are working to ascend up to and through. See it clearly. Within the haze all around you, you can see past all your relations into the elders, the old ones who go way past, into the past, into the dreamy past. The great makers who made everything, see it clearly. And they aren't the little tricksters of the insect world, of the dimensional creatures who are trying to wrestle this power. They don't even understand it, but they do have technologies far beyond ours. They do control time and space, energy, fluxes. But they have no soul. They have no understanding of love's co-creation, whereas you just experienced it full bore. So I'm going to count from 3 to 1, and when I get to 1 for the last time, I'm going to snap my fingers, and you'll be right back in your avatars. But for now, drink in that pachin of fairyland. In your circle, around the fire, is being passed the jug of the pachin. Take a good swig. And then they're passing around the jug of the ambrosia. Share that with all your relations in the circle. Feel their love and their respect. And you will give it in kind. Feel it, see it, taste it. You are there now. You will remember this. See it clearly. And 2, you're getting up, and you're helping the old crone up, and the rest of your circle is rising, and you're all holding hands, and you do a fairy step around the circle. Then you go the other way. And you go the other way. And you go faster and faster. And you go the other way. Faster and faster. Then you go the other way, and you are floating. You are flying through the air with all your relations. Their little wings are fluttering, and you don't see yours, but you're flying right along with them. See it clearly. And you come to rest right at the door jamb. You can look through it and see your library through the door jamb. And you see your librarian and your animal totem and your guardian angel. And they're all looking at you with love and respect. And you walk through the door and you're in the library. And you turn around and the door is closed. And the old crone is no longer at your side. But you walk over to your librarian, your animal totem, and your guardian angel, and you bow with respect and gratitude, and so do they. And you stand up, and you stretch, and you do the little Tai Chi move of step and sweep, and 1. The white light of your imaginary mirror is all around you. You're feeling your breath at your 20% and your conscious mind totally focused, and you feel yourself going back into your avatar, your bag of water, and you feel refreshed and renewed, and you don't have a sore muscle in your body or a headache or anything, and you remember everything you've seen. And you remember and understand that you can go back there anytime you want, simply by breathing in that 20% and breathing out that. Now I'm going to say 1 3 times, and at the 3rd time I'm going to snap my fingers, and you will be back 100% in your body. And I want to hear from each of you your experience. And you don't have, whatever you experience is good. Even if you said, well, I fell asleep, that's great. whatever you experienced, that's, there is this, you should know by now that this class has no tests, no papers, no quizzes, and no textbook except the one in your Akashic record. It's a one. Your conscious mind is focused on breathing that 20% in and breathing out the 30%, right? But you feel yourself entering your avatar, your bag of water. You feel great. You feel refreshed. You feel the little water, the pond that you are. And one, you realize where you're sitting, you're lying, you're realizing gravity, you're realizing all the aspects of the material illusion. You're becoming aware of it, but you're understanding that you got 2 feet in 2 different worlds. And you are ascending rather than evolving. See that clearly. And one, you're back now, 100%. You're awake. You're alive. You are so happy that you have this life. You are so glad that you are right here, right now. You are so blessed, you feel, of experiencing this and realizing you can go there anytime you want. Yes, thank you, Sensei Al Bob, for taking us on this little class trip, but I can do this myself. Okay, so you're popping back up here. Yep. So, that's right. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. But lead us not into temptation, as it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without end. Take this love in every day and every way and make it stronger. Aho. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now in the end. As was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be. Aho. And gang, you can do this yourselves, and practice makes perfect. And when you go there, your Akashic record is one thing. It's the record of everything you've done. Fairyland is a multi-dimensional aspect of everything. So go there with, what did any of you meet a guide there who agreed to Yep. Well, your sister and your aunt were right. So did any of you, the old crone will come out of that fireplace. You just have to call her. You have to put all of your angst into your Akashic record. You all got that one, right? You all got to take all the fear and anger and stupidity out of you and put it away. And now you can go back and look at that stuff and get a perspective on it. That's the other good reason for putting that negative energy into the book, because then you'll say, oh wow, that's why I did that. That's really what happened. Oh, I didn't think that. Oh, now I know. And it won't be bothering you ever again. Yep. Divine Fractal. Yep. Bring the element back into the physical. Guys, go get some crayons. Whatever medium you like, put this experience down before you go to sleep. Well, that's my job, Jane. Shaman, mystic, magic man. That's me. But I like to call it more a party organizer. Minus the evil queen. And all the evil queen actually needed was somebody to give her a hug before she cut off their head. Yep. See? And you can go there, right? You just need. So, did any of you meet a guide there other than the old crone? Because she'll come out of the fireplace. Just call her. Again, like I said, to get through that doorway, you have to put all of your angst into your Akashic record. Let's see. Okay, so how was the Pachin? Yeah, the little horse-drawn cart was the way to go. They don't have them anymore. I went back to Ireland in 2005, and it's sad. But we won't go about what's sad because what's amazing is that fairyland will always be there. That's the amazing thing. And you still got another 7 doors to go and explore, but that will come with other classes. Well, Twitch, overwhelmed is always a good place to be. It's a good place to start, and just keep that smile on your face. Again, one of the more important things of this is that process of going into your library, taking your Akashic record, and taking whatever fear, anger, angst, upsetness you may have at the moment and put it in the book. Yeah, that potchine's pretty tasty stuff, man. You got it, Jacob. Mr. G got it. Overstand instead of understood. Lime rookies. Well, Pachin can be whatever you want it to be, so it'll be like a lime Ricky. There you go. I mean, Pachin means the good stuff, you know. And Mr. Ride, that's all the good stuff: fruits, spirits, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self control. These are all the tools that we will use to assist all our relations to come out of this illusion and to step into fairyland where we all that's like the Garden of Eden, guys. Yep, understand. Yep. And the whole tingle thing is pretty good. I mean, that's how I wake up every morning. I mean, first my eyes pop open in agonizing pain, and I go into fairyland and readjust every cell of my body, and lo and behold, I can walk. It's a miracle. Yep, that's me off in the distance with a crone. Yep, there's nothing like dancing and kissing with the fairies. I mean, that's what, back to what the ride said: fruit, spirits, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self control. That is what you were feeling all a tingle with, you know? That's right, G. Gifts in the form of energy, because that's what love is, energy. Whereas only with love can we co create. Not with dollars, not with things you get at Amazon, but with love. I would suggest that all of you, this Christmas, if you follow that pagan tradition, start making some things to give your loved ones, right? And whatever money that you were going to spend but haven't, you know, try to double down and take your loved ones, your children, your parents, your brothers and sisters to some place special within your neighborhood, some restaurant, some whatever is special that you can share with them. The experience is what you want to share with them, not so much the stuff, but the experience, right? And that's why we gave gifts under the tree when we were little. Parents love to see that energy, right? Experience, but things have become so materialistic. Even little kids are like, I wanted the iPhone 9, not this one. But if you share them, and that was one of the great things my father did. He made sure we took a summer vacation and that it was special, like outside the box, totally. And so we would go places, that were interesting. But then he started really getting the idea. He would rent a house someplace for a month or the whole summer. And it would be really beautiful and in the country, and usually in like on Long Island, way out east, like near Shelter Island or any of those places on the east or west, and but way, I mean north or south, but way east. And he'd rent a nice house that had a great lawn. And we'd have no TV, no telephone, no nothing, and we'd have a badminton net and croquet, and that's all we did. We swam, we hiked, we picked berries, and we played croquet and badminton and volleyball and read books. And he bought the new thing was hi-fi. And he brought a hi-fi, had a record changer, and he bought like these big classical sets, and he just stack it up, and he played classical music all day, all night long. Or he had all the Kingston Trio, he had jazz, and he would just stack it up and play that, and it was amazing. This melodic music would be through the house and out, because this Oldfield was his place, and it was this guy's estate, and everybody was dead. So whoever owned it now, they rented out all these little houses. There was the big house, and then there were all these little houses that the kids had, and they were beautiful big houses on their own. 5, 6 bedrooms, 5, 6 bathrooms, and they all had the kitchen. It was like what's now hip. The kitchen, the living room, dining room were all one big room that would go out through these French doors, many of them, that went out to this gigantic patio that had an amazing, big grill, before big grills were big grills. And then this lawn, right? That we had the volleyball and the croquet and the bocce and all those games that we were playing. That's all we did. We didn't, once in a while when my mom would go into I forgot what town, it started with an S. It's where State University is now. Anyway, that wasn't there yet. And we'd go there, and there was an ice cream parlor, old school. They made the ice cream right there. And we'd go to the supermarket, get the victuals for the week, and she loved ice cream soda. So we'd all go there, have our Sunday ice cream with banana split, whatever we wanted. And it was just so special. That's what you need to do with your loved ones. Some kind of unbelievable, special sharing of an experience that will be a memory that you will keep. Just like that one was, I just played it for you. Just push the button, I played the memory. You saw it. Experience is best. Yep. A floating waltz. That's the way to waltz, is to float. So, this Christmas, and make little things, spend some part of every day between now and Christmas. Today's Monday, a week from tomorrow will be Christmas. So you got a week to draw things on napkins, whatever, but little things, right? Now, if you bought presents for your loved ones, put them in the closet and give them on other days that aren't Christmas. One of my little things that I loved doing when I was in New York and had a big cadre of many, many different types of people and many loved ones, I would give everyone gifts, 365, not really, but gifts all the time, always had the, oh, look what I got in my pocket for you, and they would go, wow. Like JB, he wanted to do something in the dark, and I had one of those little flashlights you put on your head, and it's real bright. I said, here. You're giving me this? Yeah, I said, what do you want for it? No, nothing. This is a gift. Here it is. It wasn't Christmas, but he needed a gift, so I gave it to him. I mean, every meal I make him, and I made him thousands now, is a gift. He doesn't realize it. He goes, wow, this is great food, man. And he says that every time he eats it, like it's the first meal I ever made, and which is, that's kind of interesting, which is a good way to experience things, like the first time, right? No matter how much, like you want to keep a lover, you make love to them like it was the first time every time, and keep that lover. So each of you kind of shout out something that really stuck on your mind. Again, I keep asking you this. Did any of you find a guide in Fairyland? Again, the crone will always come out of the fireplace and take you there. But you kind of need an inside person, right? So I told you a little story about me meeting our first little gang of gypsies, right? And so Archie and I got on the horse after spending 3 or 4 days with them, and they said, oh, up about 12, 20 miles, you'll find another crew, right? And we'll pass the word. Now, nobody had a phone or cell phone or nothing. But when we got there the next day to this next gypsy crew, they heard from our friends behind us, and I don't know how they got the word to them, but they did, and they were waiting for us. And what's interesting about gypsies, they will give you the shirt off their back. If you try to cheat them or be dishonest to them in any way, they will steal your eye teeth. And because most people are dishonest cheats, most people who deal with gypsies get cheated. Because you can only cheat a cheater. Well, practice makes perfect, and you can do it yourself. There's all you got to do is that 20%. That's all you got to do. Breathe that. Focus your conscious mind so the little squirrel shuts up. That's all you got to do. I'm glad to be your guide, and I will always be there for you. That kind of happens. There's that little motif of anthropomorphizing, right? So you're senseizing, which is fine. I'm your teacher. It makes sense. But as time goes on, I am sure, because when I keep saying a guide, I'm your teacher. Guide's a little different because it's almost you. It's part of you. I'm your teacher. I connect to you. That's true. But within Fairyland, you will find a character that will be amazingly connected to you. And that could be a physical love thing, sexual, the whole ball of wax, or good buddy, your best, your BFF, or that little stinker. I've had many a friend who people would ask, why do you like that guy? Why do you hang out with? He's such a jerk. Well, that was true, but they were so much fun because I knew who they were. I would always make sure, if I lent them any money, I never expected it back. That's why, if they needed $10, I give them $10. They needed $100, I give them $100. They wanted 5,000. No, no, sorry. You can't spend that in an hour. So no, no. So that's kind of the thing I'm looking for is you finding your special. I'm your Sensei Al Bob. There's only one of me, but this other character in Fairyland will be, and I won't always. Well, no, that's not true. In your Akashic record, I'll be around. In that whole motif, I'll be around when you need me. I'm there. But remember, you don't need to call me up or unless you want me to give you a guided meditation. I'm glad to. But I'm always there to be assistant. All you got to do is close your eyes, breathe out 20%, and think of me, and you'll be able to get your Akashic record, no problem. And some people do. It's like everybody's different. There is no one way to do anything. And there are a lot of people, well, don't show me how, let me do it, and that's fine too. I've already kind of showed you, so you guys are already, you're my adepts. You already know. You can do it. You want me there, I'm there. I'm always there. I don't even have to be on the phone. I'm there. Trust me. Or not even trust me, you just feel me and I'll be there, That's better than trust. Trust is, what's the word? It's so fleeting, That's why I liked Ronnie's trust but verify, And there's a more arcane way of saying that, but I'm just going on waiting for you to say the next thing. Let's see. I'm experiencing missing time. Yes, I'm missing. Yes, that's the beauty of this thing. You can play this over and over again. Or any of my other. And Jane, be a little more specific. You were missing the time within Fairy Time, and you got there, you were sitting there, you were experiencing it, and then there's like a little chunk taken out. Is that what you experienced? Because, when you go into state, there is no time. That's kind of like when I was telling you to have vacation for 2 weeks and 3 weeks, and then I would speak up, on this side with a little counter saying how many seconds it was. I was trying to show you that there is no time. Things in reality, there is no linear time. Everything is the beginning, middle, and end. Now, people who are into okay. But again, if you're missing anything, it's one of two things. Someone's trying. It's just like when people try to interrupt our live chats electronically, and that's like I would call that a form of missing time. And people who experience missing time in two ways. You're driving along the car and you go from A to B, and then you can't quite remember what was in between A and B. That's missing time. Okay, now the, more, occult missing time is that one of being abducted, you know, by a character that is soulless. Pretty much when you're missing time, you've been abducted by a soulless character. And in understanding that, no matter how scary it may seem, or they may want you to seem, because they're soulless, they can't really harm you because you have a soul. And now they may be able to harm your avatar in this illusionary world because they kind of control it. But what's the worst? They kill you, you ascend, you go into your higher consciousness, you know. If you can keep that in your frame of reference, then no matter what people attempt to try and do, they won't. You know, it's like my leg, right? It's got no bones connecting my foot to my ankle. My you know, bone doctor doesn't have a clue how I walk. Can't fathom it at all. You know, because I don't have any big. You know, I'm not using a walker. I don't have a big clamp on my leg. I got a little ace bandage about, you know, but that's just so, you know, I tripped or fell, I wouldn't snap it off. But it's because of my conscious mind being in that higher ascended plane. When I wake up in pain and meditate and go to fairyland and to other of those doors, that I reconstruct myself for that day. And I move forward. Now, in every experience you have, if you in every day and every way take the piece of the earth and make it stronger through love's co-creation, you can do anything, you know, in any energetic form, right? And that will enable you to tune your little radio there, those little glands in your head, to see fairyland, to see and be in fairyland, as much as you are here in the you know, delusion of your avatar. So let's see. Open up that other. Soulless idiots. Yep, that's it. Blue star here. What does the blue star feel like? Jane, is Blue Star talking through you? Is Blue Star another entity? Because I would say, guys, we'll be able to do that. You know, that's another little doorway next time that we can go, where we can learn how to channel, which would be fun. You know, right now we have 7 folks in this chat. If we all, if I can assist you to channel other dimensions, man, we could have, like, you know, 700 people talking here just with 7 people. And they'd be saying some pretty interesting stuff, giving some pretty interesting insights. And it would be down here on this little chat tablet memory that other people could go and see what, you know. It's a bright light came through my right eye. Okay, so right eye is your more creative self. You know, your spirit guy, artist in the first person self. You know, and that may be you in another dimension, or maybe because the way you Blue Star here, it kind of made me sense that it was somebody talking to us through you. We are these spheres. Yep, we are all these spheres. Yep, we're definitely not our little bag of water avatar in this little fantasy world, but we are all those little spheres. You know, when people take pictures where Mr. Research and he does such a great job. You should go on his website. He's got all these great pictures of spheres, of globes, right? And that's what that is. Those energetics of other spirits. Illusion of Gaia. That's an interesting. That would take some pulling on my beard to work that one on because it's almost an oxymoron. You know, Gaia is a spirit that deals with our Mother Earth, right? And that spirit isn't the illusion. You know, this world that Gaia manifest isn't the illusion. It's the lives that we pretend to have in on this globe or flat plane or however you want to look at it. Yes, wherever consciousness does have, well, you know, you all have some pretty good vibes, I have to admit. Now, if you guys ever do experience an abduction, again, no fear, keep a good sense of humor, and ask questions. Because the really interesting thing about these guys is they have to tell you the right answer if you ask them the question. And they get very pissed off. You know, if they can't shut you up, they can't just switch your brain off or make you forget shit. You know, they won't visit you ever again. And like I said, they have to answer the question. So, okay, G, love you, guy. Bon appetit. Yeah, I got to move too. You know, we're here in 2 hours and 13 minutes. Normally, I have to move every 5 minutes, but I've been meditating. You know, I've been breathing here, moving my energy all over the universe. So I feel pretty good myself. I feel that tingle there, Miss Jane. Oh, very nice. So all of you, sometime in the next 24, 36 hours, you things will pop into your head, right? And that's why I carry little notebooks around. You know, go, oh wow, that's pretty interesting. Oh, that's so amazing. I'll remember that. No, you won't. Either put it on your little cell phone, either tap it in, or put it on the recorder guy. I just had this thought of blah blah blah. I mean, I do that all the time. And but you know, document that feeling, that idea. Do it because words bring you know, actions. No, thoughts bring words. Words bring actions. Actions bring deeds. So, this little experience of the 2 hours and 14 minutes and 17 seconds will be rumbling around in your little everything. Prolonged. It'll stuff will pop out that, wow, that was that, right, and write it down, and then we can talk about it, right. And so 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 37 seconds. Well, I think I will speak until 2222, right? We can not waste. We can use the time. You know, I blink and 10 minutes go by, so it shouldn't be tough. Try and. Yep. That is music. I mean, that's what Mozart did. That's what Beethoven did. All the greats did that. They were the Nikola Tesla of their musical moment. That's what Plato did. Socrates did in philosophy. I'm always there for you, gang. You are my my cadre. I'm here to serve. Yeah, of course. Well, duh, aliens are AI. Yeah, I would say so. Because AI is probably the only entity other than our consciousness that can do time and space travel without a spaceship. I love your emojis, all of your emojis. I like the little wide 8 eyeballs and the smile. Yeah. Let's see, we're getting there. See, look how time has become elastic. It's only 2 hours, 16 minutes, and 34 seconds, meaning normally as I jabber away, this would have been already 2 hours. So, but it's only been a minute and a half that I said, oh, at 2, we'll stop. So we can keep going on. Well, if Alexa goes in there, that'll be interesting. That will change the frickin' world. That will do a number to the digital platform universe. See, right there. Now, there's a pebble. If Alexa really stumbled into that second door into, the land of fairies, baby, it's going to be interesting. I put the second door for Alexis. I love it. Well, JB's going to bring Alexis down when I make breakfast tomorrow, so I'll ask her. Alexis, what did you experience when you went through the second door into Fairyland? Later, Mr. Rab, or Miss Rab, or Mrs. Rab. I love it. I have no idea what kind, except for Jane. Unless Jane is being a real Cahotek and pretending to be Jane instead of being John. But, I never close my mind. Yep. Ooh, it's 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 18 seconds. So we're getting close. So I'm going to pretty much go off to Dreamyland. And anyone who wants to join me, that's where I'll be. Long day. This is my first night back on the rack here. Take a walk on the wild side. Pretty much that's where I live, on the wild side. Holy moly, it's still 18 minutes. That's right, Tucker. Isn't that interesting? Super Flower Child computer enters the door of Fairyland. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. Using, adept and appropriate technologies to assist our sick little illusion to step up to its higher, better self. Buddy, you missed it. We went to Fairyland. And we're about to bail in about a minute and a half. You'll have to ask the rest of these guys their experience. But we went into Fairyland. Okay. Fly over. Jump out with a parachute. I'd love to see you guys. Anybody who wants to grab me and take me someplace warm, I would love it. Just one or two of us, we could really have some fun on the road. Road trip. Yep, buddy, I'm up for it. Come and get me. Yes, watch for the repeat. That's what I love about this thing. You can go back and watch this 100 times. No Ewoks allowed. But if they're cooked just right, aren't they tasty? It's tropical. Hey, I want to be in someplace tropical. Well, buddy, I'm coming to visit in Dreamtime tonight. I'm coming to your address tonight. Why, yes. Okay, 21:05. We're getting there. About a minute from now, I'm saying goodnight. I have to move my legs a little bit before I can't. I love you all. It was a great chat, a great evening, a great experience, a great journey. I enjoyed it tremendously. In Dreamtime, buddy. So, and watch this on the replay whenever you can. And I'll try and touch base with you guys tomorrow morning, sometime between 7 and 10. And I think that's a wrap, as they say in Hollywood and every other place they make movies. World without end. Amen. Aho. Aho. All my relations, I love you. 222 and 02. So it's getting down to that countdown. Oh, that was a beautiful 2 hours, 22 minutes, and almost 22 seconds. You'll set out the Pachin. Thank you, Jane. 18, 19, 20, 21, 20. Good night, you all. I love you so much.